So yes, the answer is your question. Yeah, I mean, more absolutely. I think all the candidates here, everyone in this room is advocating for more funding for this community. But it goes without saying, absolutely, yes, sir. Yes, sir, I will.
I appreciate your question, and I know that everybody knows I'm a Republican and a conservative. The Republican Party is one about to constantly repeal. And I've been on record for over 6 years since the ACA came out and telling the Republican Party, if you really intend on repealing the ACA, have something to replace it with. They've never come up with anything to replace it with. So the reality of the ACA is there are certain aspects of it that are extremely good. Pre-existing conditions, absolutely. I remember Ted Kennedy signing his fist on the Senate podium, saying it's a sad day in the Senate when we can't stand up to the insurance companies. The insurance companies and the government have been taking the people that have needs and rely on the government because they don't have the needs. And they've been constantly taking them away and they use them as a threat asset. Do this or we're taking the needs away from you. My heart, I've already proven it in the past, just in my own personal life, that I go to Washington, D.C., I would fight absolutely for the needs of the ones we need the most. And that's the most vulnerable in the community. This is why when I started this off by saying it speaks volumes that my opponent's not here, the incumbent's not here. It speaks volumes. He's in Washington, D.C. right now with his wife because he does not live in the district. I'm not slamming my opponent. He's supposed to be working here. This is called a congressional recess. That doesn't mean recess, he's off work. That means he's not doing the work in Washington, D.C. He's supposed to be here in his district. Being here in the district is coming to forums like this and hearing what the needs are. Not just coming and pledging. Politicians come in and come out and they'll pledge everything. Yeah, of course, I'll fight for you. I'm going to get all the money and bring it back for you. And I get to Washington, D.C. and who are you? My life history has already proven that I would fight for that. So it's not a pledge, it's not a promise, it's not empty words. This is what I've already done in life. And I'm on record already going against my party in the sense of what the ACA is, what the ACA offers, and why the insurance companies need to be throttled in. I vote against repeal. There's nothing there to replace it with. We need to take aspects of that and fix the things that are wrong in it. Right now, yes, I would vote against repealing it. It will never, plus it would never come up because there's enough people like me that would just say, no, it doesn't work. You can't take away something that you've already given that so many people have already fallen on reliance of. There's no possible way to do that. So how do we look at this 2,700-page bill and figure out what parts of it are no good, what parts of it are destroying the economy, what parts are good, helping the people who need the most? Because there's absolutely no reason in my mind why a family should go bankrupt because something happened in their lives that was beyond their control. There's absolutely no reason for that. That's what the government is supposed to help out in. This is what the compassionate-hearted society of America is all about, helping those who need help. That's what I've done. That's what I said. This is not an empty promise. This is what I've been doing for 3 decades. This is what my wife does, not because we need money, it's because that's where their heart is out, helping elderly people at $11 an hour. My daughter does the same thing at $11 an hour. It's brutal, but Medicaid pays senior help, senior in-home help. It's brutal. But they need compassionate people in their homes to help them out, whether they have Alzheimer's, whether they have dementia, whether they're in wheelchairs, whether they can get in and out of bed and need help to get in the bath. We're already practicing this, so legislation is going to become normal to me. This is why I don't mind talking about my faith, because my faith tells me to do these things to help the community. Not my political checking the wind atmosphere. My faith tells me, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to help those that are in need. Who's the most in need? The community with special needs. whether they were born that way, whether they had an accident, whether they got a disease and they became that way, whether they got a vaccination and it went wrong, it doesn't matter. It is the government's responsibility as a representative of the community to bring those needs to the people, because if you poll the average person throughout the society, they will say help the people that have needs. So yes, I hope that answers.
So Jeremy, I appreciate your opening statement. I remember when I went to the Center for Neuroskills and they said, we're going to teach you a new normal. So I get that. How do you decide on funding? Well, again, I always go back to freedom. So the most important unit to me in this Constitution is the individual. And the individual is supported by the family unit. And anytime the state tries to supersede that, just sort of on a big picture level, and interfere with that unit and tell you where you can go to school or what you can do or what insurance you can buy, those are all things that in the end break the fabric of what makes America America. And so my answer is going to be on the state legislative level because that's the area I'm running for. I would say that it is unconscionable that because no one wants to make hard decisions, they'll do things like say, everybody 10% off the board. When we know that there are areas that are filled with fat, AKA California teachers unions and education, just tons of fat there to be cut out, tons. Public sector employee unions, gobs and gobs of it. And then other areas where there's not. What they always do when there's a budgetary crisis is they go, but you're going to die because there's no police and firemen. And then they go, well, here we're going to, everybody loses equally, which is ridiculous. I happen to like, because I'm an economics geek, I kind of like zero-based budgeting, which candidate John Cox talked about in the beginning of his campaign until he realized that like, I was the only person cheering for it. And what that means is that the budget every year starts back at zero. You don't get to have $1 billion because you always had $1 billion. Once you do the job, say pothole filling, and there's no more potholes, you shouldn't get $1.5 billion next year. And that would leave you and free up enough money to take care of places where you do need money. Now, another place where you could easily increase the funding for this community is eliminating the duplication. Why are there 6, 7, 8, 10 agencies all doing the same thing or having a little piece of the pie? I think, Rudy, you mentioned the surplus. There's no surplus. We have $200 to $300 billion with a B dollars in unfunded pension liabilities. Every tax they raise, the gas tax, the water tax, every dollar they raise is going to plug that hole so that people can get 6-figure pensions at age 50 and live really well. I'm 52, I haven't gotten a pension yet. I'm sort of wondering where my money is, but the fact is that we don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. And your budget is a reflection of your priorities, and this should be a priority. It should be easier to have a public-private partnership where people who need services can get them, but you have to order those services. If you decide that the most important thing in the world is plastic bag banning, you're not going to have time or money left to take care of people who actually need resources. And I think our legislature is actually completely upside down in their priorities. They've been spending time chasing unicorns and fairies and not dealing with the things they're supposed to deal with, which is the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Thank you. So, two more of the formatted questions. Those of you in the audience, start thinking about what you're hearing and any questions or observations that you have. And after 2 more questions, raise your hands and Michelle will find you in the audience.
My name is Judith Ramirez. I'm here representing the Adult Children, which is another nonprofit organization. So my question is about housing. Housing costs in the San Fernando Valley and Santa Cruz Valley areas continue to rise beyond the reach of everyone living on a low income. For many adults with developmental disabilities who live on SSI or on low wages, finding housing is simply impossible. Section 8 certificates are almost unattainable. Los Angeles County has identified between 1,700 to 3,000 people with developmental disabilities are becoming homeless. Due to the lack of affordable housing, the majority of adults with developmental disabilities continue to live with their aging parents. If you're elected, how will you represent us? How will you ease this housing crisis for people with disabilities? What is your position with respect to incentivizing funding for Section 8 and subsidized housing? What is your sorry, I got lost. What is your position in respect to prioritizing some of the recently approved affordable housing funding for people with disabilities? How can federal and state governments do more to help people with disabilities continue to live prosperous and independent lives?
So, thank you very much, Judith. I would say, I mean, it's sort of a paraphrase, but it's a corollary in the Torah. You know, when you're kind to the cruel, you be cruel to the kind. So, because our city, and mostly this is sort of a city issue, and then I'll get to the state, which is what I'm running for, but because they've decided right now that there's no bigger priority than the homeless issue, which is mostly actually a criminal vagrant issue of drug-addicted people. Officers on the street will tell me up to 90% of the people that they deal with every day that we see on the streets defecating and living in tents, they are not, one paycheck away from their fabulous job that they just lost. It's that they've chosen a life of addiction. That has become a priority. So there is a woman who lives in Weddington Park. She has a Section 8 apartment. She's not going to it. She'd rather shoot up in Weddington Park where kids and families are playing, and that apartment is sitting empty and is not available to people who actually use it. So when we have such a mismatch of priorities, and we say, well, now we've got the sweet HHH and H money, which is $2.5 billion, and we've identified these people who are going to help us to spend it, but they're going to spend it in a way that lines their pockets. And I'll go backwards again and just say, what I've learned while running for office is horrifying. There's what we think, which is that if people just band together and talk to their legislators, they'll get heard. And the truth is that there are groups up in Sacramento that they refer to as the third house. Did you guys know that? So I learned when I came to America that there's legislative, executive, and judicial branches of government. Oh no, third in importance are the lobbyists in Sacramento. So you can be against stuff all you want, for stuff all you want, and incumbents won't appear, but their checks will keep coming from the third house. So they really don't have to worry about us. So this is a long way of saying that in the back I have an article that I wrote for the LA Daily News, which is all about affordable housing. Because the issue is not how does government make housing affordable, because if the government were in charge of, say, the Sahara Desert, in like 10 years, it would be out of sand. So they're not a good solution for it. But if you let the free market work and let people build and let people sell their homes and move and open up inventory, housing will get more affordable. It's never going to be as cheap to live here as it is in Pittsburgh, but it should and can be cheaper, and Section 8 should be reserved for people who are not shooting up in parks in their free time, but who have an actual need.
So before the meeting started, I was talking to Leslie here in the front row. She's on the cool bike. You should check it out. She was telling me that she's been waiting for a Section 8 housing voucher for over 20 years. Okay, that's unacceptable, people. Where's the accountability? Okay, that's our message. We're bringing accountability back to the San Fernando Valley. Our city is booming in development. Okay, last I saw over